So basically, the reason I am doing this vlog is to test to see if this mic setup actually works out well. Essentially, I am using my iPhone and its headphones to... Oh shit, I was speeding. I'm using my iPhone and its headphones in order to record my audio. And then I'm going to sync it up later. And give him a nod, and he's just ignoring me. So yeah, this is probably not even going to get uploaded, but I'm going to talk as if it is going to get uploaded. So you never know, this could actually end up having an alright quality and get uploaded as a finished product. But nevertheless, it's likely not going to be uploaded. Holy shit, I've talked about that for a lot. So, let's set the lights. So, essentially, what I want to talk about is, first of all, when the fuck are these lights going to change? I think its timing is after these. Yeah, my fucking visor fogs up when I don't have my vents open. But I can't really have my vents open when I'm talking. Right, there we go. So, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about why exactly Shifty and I have got into doing this. I also want to talk about the GoPro Curse. Let's start with that, because it's just a light little small observation I have. Obviously, as a biker, whenever I am out on my bike, I usually end up having a couple of close calls, and yeah, that's it. But it seems as though now that I have a GoPro, and the whole reason behind that is to, if I get into a crash, have evidence as to whose fault it is. Now I actually have the GoPro, it seems as though whenever I ride without it, I end up with the most shenanigans happening. A prime example was the other day. Roundabouts, they're fun. Prime example was that the other day, I quite happily riding along, holy shit, my boot touched the floor, quite happily riding along and pulled into somewhere, pretty slowly, and this cyclist just rode into me. He wasn't hurt, which is good, there's no damage to the bike, so all is good in that front. However, if I didn't have, as I didn't have my GoPro on and something did happen, he could have quite easily blamed me, and it's quite hard for me to prove that it wasn't my fault, that it wasn't me who rode into him. And that's just a problem. Now, I don't want to face that problem again, so I'm just trying to ride around with my GoPro whenever I can, which is why I've taken this opportunity to be careful of this cyclist. Safe there. So, I just want to say, like, if you're planning on getting GoPro, just make sure you actually, well, any action camera in general, just make sure you actually use it all the time. Because you don't want to end up getting yourself the curse. And the curse is not a good thing to have. Because I've actually never had someone, a cyclist anyway, I've never had someone just crash into me. It's a fucking weird thing, and I can't believe it just happened the one time I didn't have my GoPro on when I was riding. So yeah, that's a thing, I guess. I heard other motovloggers talk about it, say, oh yeah, it's the curse. Whenever you don't have your camera on, that's when something happens. I thought, yeah, you know what, it's just bad luck, isn't it? But no, it seems to be a real thing. So yeah, let's segue into why exactly Shifty and I both bought GoPros. The prime reason I got one was because I had a 125 before I had this bike, and I no longer have that 125. Why, you may ask? Well, because somebody pulled out in front of me, and they wiped it out. It's a complete write-off. They just, so, her police statement didn't say this, but essentially, obviously what I'm going to do as a young guy who's just crashed in the city, I'm going to call my mum and let her know that I'm okay, but I have crashed. So she arrives on the scene, I'm in the back of an ambulance at the time. And she goes up to this woman who crashed into me and said, "What happened?" And this woman says to her, "Well, I saw him coming, but I couldn't work out how fast he was going, so I pulled out anyway." That is not the right thing to do. That is definitely not the right thing to do. She had nowhere to go. She completely blocked the road immediately in front of me. And, yeah, obviously I crashed right into her at full speed. I was doing the speed limit, you know, I'm going to say I was doing the speed limit, but honestly, I was doing the speed limit. I was doing exactly the speed limit. I was making a conscious effort to do it because I was thinking of stuff to tell my friend Shifty, because he hadn't actually got his bike license at that time. I was trying to think of things that I needed to tell him about riding a bike, so I thought I'll stick at the exact speed limit and just think out loud. And yeah, 30 miles an hour to 0, entirely impacted with my head. So that was a good load of fun. Now, the reason I thought, oh, I should really get a GoPro now, when I got onto this bike, was that obviously when a crash happens and there is personal injury, you're going to file a personal injury claim. Personally, I had to take a year out of university. I'd just finished my second year. It was during my exams. I failed a couple of exams because of it, but the doctors excused me from those exams, and it was all hunky-dory. Obviously, I didn't get anything more than a passing grade because of that. But I thought to myself, I need a GoPro because with this legal process that was going on, she fought it all the way through. And what happened was that before the police had arrived, while I was still in the ambulance, she had her car moved backwards. And because I wasn't really coherent and I couldn't give a proper statement at the time, they assumed her statement was correct. So they assumed equal liability. Now, when the police came around a couple of months later to my house to take a proper statement off me, they said, well, this is what she said has happened. And I said, well, that's just not right. And I had actually had the initiative to have a passerby who saw the accident, because this was during rush hour traffic. So the entire pathway, the entire road was absolutely 100% blocked. She had nowhere to go. So there was a lot of witnesses, and one of these witnesses took my phone off me and took pictures of the crash for me. And the police hadn't seen these pictures, obviously, because I was out of it by the time they came to interview me. But a couple of months down the line, they interviewed me and they said, oh, okay, right. She said something different, but clearly from these pictures, we can see that it was entirely her fault. Her car was actually, you see this centre line here, her car was completely, the front of her car, in fact, just was completely over that, which just meant that clearly I had nowhere to go, and she had blocked the road. But it was, you can even see in the photograph, there is a junction just ahead, going my way, and she was pulling out onto the left-hand side of the road, so incoming traffic. Now, this junction was very busy at the time. It was a pedestrian crossing, sorry. So this pedestrian crossing was very busy, which meant that cars kept stopping and filing up traffic. And she just decided to pull out in front of me. Now, you can see in the photo that it was very clear that she had nowhere to go because of the heavy levels of traffic on the road. But she decided to pull out anyway because, I don't know, she's stupid. This goes back to the whole, I couldn't work out how fast it was going. If you can't work out how fast something is going, don't pull out. It's better safe than sorry. Because if I'd have been going faster than that, if I'd have been speeding, say I was doing 40, probably more severe injuries then. If I was doing 50, God knows what would happen. Because my crash, what happened when I hit the vehicle was because it wasn't raining, it was like drizzle. So the roads were slick. So what happened was when I applied my brakes, which, my stopping distance was, she pulled out when I was about here and she was at that side. So my stopping distance was nil. I wasn't going to avoid hitting this car. But when I applied my brakes, which naturally I just applied all the brakes because I knew I was going down anyway, so I figured I might as well stop as much as possible. When I applied my brakes, let's nod to this moped, see if he nods back. Come on, nod. No. Yeah, he did. when I applied my brakes, my entire brakes locked up and I slid right into it. It probably decreased my speed very slightly, but as I said, no stopping distance meant, nothing at all really. And my front wheel connected with hers, which caused my bike to slip out from underneath me and go underneath the front of her car. And I was just propelled off my bike. It was quite spectacular. So there's a nice lost-shaped dent right in the side of her car, and you can quite clearly make out my head and my arm and my shoulder and my legs. What the fuck are you doing? It's a red light, bro. Fucking red light, idiot. Doesn't matter if there's nothing coming, you don't go through a red light. Fucking idiots. This is why we're cameras. There are so many idiots on the road. So yeah, there is a lost-shaped dent in the side of her car because all of my impact just went straight into my head. My helmet's broken. You can actually, if you pick up my helmet and shake it around, there's gouges in it where I bounced off the car and landed right on the road. So you can see gouges in the back of my helmet where I just fucking bashed the road. But yeah, if you pick up my helmet now and shake it, you can actually hear the parts of the helmet inside just rattling around, and that's just something that's just like, well, okay, it's a good job I had a fairly decent helmet. I was riding with a AGV K4 Torque. It was an older model one. I'd had it for about 2 years, so it was about time for replacement, really. Ideally, in the ideal world, I should have been replacing that after 2 years. But, yeah, if I'd have been going faster, that's more and more injury. As it is, I suffered memory loss. I still can't remember that week. I can remember about an hour before the accident, but I did stuff like I went out and bought a MacBook in that week. I have no idea where I bought it from. I have no idea how much I paid for it. I have no idea why I bought it, but I apparently bought one. I didn't actually realise I had no memory until maybe a month after I picked up my MacBook and I waved it in front of my mum and said, when's my brother coming back for his MacBook? Because he'd left it here. And she was like, that's yours. You bought that before your crash. I was like, oh, did I? I don't remember. So yeah, that's a pretty big purchase. And then I just simply don't remember. And this is just, I spoke to a doctor about it. I went to hospitals and had scans and stuff. They said, I don't have any lasting damage. However, I probably will never get that memory back. It's like I hit a reset button. So that week is just gone. Which is, it's alright. But the main problem I had was I was in university still. I was doing my final year. And this meant that I was revising for tests. And no matter what I did, no matter how much revision I did, I was a firm believer of the whole cram in as much revision at the last second kind of guy, which always worked for me. I always did well doing that. It was just my tactic, and it worked. Obviously, I don't recommend doing it. Use whatever revision tactic is best for you. But that's kind of off topic. So I was a firm believer in this, cram as much in as possible at the last minute, which meant that a week later after my accident, I had to revise for my tests, and that was not easy. I revised a lot. I revised and revised and revised, and no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to recall any of the stuff I actually did revision on. Revised is the correct terminology. I couldn't remember any of the stuff that I actually I revised, which is not good when you're about to go into a test. You know what, I'm going to lane hop this and go down here. That's the beauty of a bike. If you're willing to stretch the speed limit, not break it, just stretch it, then you can actually nap in front of some vehicles. Well, it's an ambulance. Yeah, I couldn't remember any of the stuff that I was revising. I just went into the test and I looked at the paper and it was gibberish. It didn't help that it was an artificial intelligence exam, and I found that a rather tricky subject to begin with. But I thought I had it down at the time. I thought I was revised up for the test. I thought I'd do fine, but no. I actually ended up falling to sleep halfway through the exam. I couldn't keep myself awake, and that's just one of the things that happened. I actually did computer science. I'm about to start my final year now. I took a gap year, so I'll be starting my final year in September. But I basically, I couldn't look at computers. It was an issue. If I spent more than 10 minutes looking at a computer monitor, then it gave me a severe headache. And for a normal person, that's probably all right. But as a computer science student who is in their final exams of the second year, that's not the best of things to happen to you. Obviously, my entire life revolved around computers. Hardcore gamer, spent all my free time playing games, and just doing programming stuff. And any time that I wasn't doing that, I was working on a computer. So being limited to 10 hours, bloody hell, that'd have been great. 10 minutes at a time meant that it was really difficult for me for a good month or so. It just shows you that even a low speed crash, if you're not wearing the right gear, if you're not wearing good gear, it can really affect you. So, just stay safe. You never know when it's going to happen, because people are idiots. Most of the time, it's not going to be you who causes the crash, it's going to be someone else. Let's give a nod to that moped. My back wheel feels like it's slipping out. Idiots. There's a crossing for a reason. Wait 10 seconds rather than risking your life. How about that? That's a really good idea, that is. Yeah. So it's just kind of a weird, sort of depressing first video, isn't it? Just thought I'll let you get to know, a bit about me and a bit the reason why I started picking up a camera.